Hi, it's Leslie, and welcome to the Why Not Today podcast. And I always talk about why not today moments, that moment in time where you make a decision or you have a conversation, you remember a person, you remember exactly where you were and what you're doing, and it made a difference in your life. And that happened to me, gosh, probably in the last couple of years. I was having coffee with my friend Jen, and she's like, "You are a natural systematizer." Never thought that thought before. And then another conversation with my friend Deborah Heiser, and she's like, "Your brain thinks differently than mine." Again, a thought I'd never thought before, but it was an awareness that I guess I do think differently than not everybody. And we all have our strengths, and some people, it's not systems, but that is definitely mine. So, with my 31-year career in self-development, personal growth, and my Mary Kay business, I have accumulated lots of systems and lots of things that run my world and run my life. And so I have decided to pivot this podcast again because I get to, and you're going to hear a little bit more about me and all my expertise that I've accumulated in training and strengths to be able to build a multi-million dollar Mary Kay business, and be able to lead and coach and help people develop businesses and just regular life stuff that comes so naturally to me, but not to everybody else. So, this is going to be the Why Not Day podcast. I'm going to sprinkle some guests, some testimonials, some experts in here, but you're going to hear a little bit more about me. And it was actually, and this was a great um, pat on the back today or affirmation I'm doing the right thing that my sister Alicia and I were talking. She goes, "I love your emails and what you're doing and what you're training." And there's so many things that I've just randomly said to help her make her life easier that I thought was no big deal and made a big difference. So, and I know I say so a lot, but that's who I am. I'm not perfect. And these episodes are not edited. So today's episode, we're going to talk about systems and how systems make starting easier once you notice what's stopping you. And we all talk about systems, but do we really know what they are? So we're going to talk about a little bit about that today. So why does starting feel so hard? It says one of the most common things is I just can't seem to get started. And that is really what Why Not Today's about. Like, let's just take action. And it's not, people have a hard time getting started, not because they don't care, not because they lack ideas, which believe me, I've got gazillion, not because they're not capable. Most of the time, starting feels hard because of friction we haven't named yet. And when we don't name it, we internalize it. We think something's wrong with us, and nothing's wrong with us. And this is really where the why not today really begins, is starting. And so we have all been taught to believe that motivation's the missing piece. You can just do it. You're motivated, especially I'm recording this in January of 2026 and New Year's resolutions. And most people have probably quit them already. But motivation is unreliable. Energy fluctuates, life gets busy. The best laid plans we know aren't always. And this idea is reinforced in the book Atomic Habits, where the emphasis is on systems over goals. And this is a book that has been referenced forever. I've followed James Clear and all the things he's taught. And I think I've listened to the book, but the other day I listened to a podcast and he was on it. And I'm like, you know what? I think I'm going to read the book again. And I am very protective over my books. I rarely let a book leave my house and I reread them. And so I pulled the book out and realized I didn't read the whole thing. So I don't know if it was that I didn't read it all or I just listened to it. But it really has made me start thinking more about systems and goals. So one of the things James Clear says, and I quote often, is we don't rise to the level of our goals, we fail to the level of our systems. And when systems don't exist, starting feels heavier than it should. And so this is not a discipline issue, it's a design issue. And just before I forget, I want to add this systems quote that my friend Tracy and I often said in our growing our business and still say, if you do something twice, create a system for it before you do it a third time. So I really don't try to rely on remembering. And if you're, um, I always say over 12 years old, then you know what? Our brain's full of too many things. So we got to put some things in place so we don't have to remember. And so this last weekend, I was doing vision boards with some of my inner circle members. And someone asked me, how do I keep my goals in front of me and actually follow through? And I realized something in that moment that maybe I'm not like everybody, or maybe it's all my Mary Kay training and what we've been taught. And Gloria Mayfield Banks, who's a top person in Mary Kay, said somebody should be able to walk in your house and know what your goal is. And so I don't rely on them remembering. I don't rely on motivation. I rely on systems. I built something because it was bugging me. So after this conversation, I actually gave the people here a tour of my condo and we walked through, and this is what became crystal clear. Every system in all my life exists because something was getting in the way, not because I want to be organized, and I don't think I'm really that organized, but people tell me I am, but not really because I want to be productive, but because I wanted life to feel easier. So simple things like in the morning, I have a certain routine of things I do first and then I do next. And, even as far as I get ready in the morning, my skincare is in my medicine cabinet, all lined up in the order I'm going to take it. I take some supplements in the morning and they are not put away in the cabinet. They are sitting on my microwave. So when I walk in the kitchen, I take that. I have a series of habits and routines that I do one after the other because it makes my life easier. So before you can create your system, though, you gotta start with a bug. And I hate to use that word, not the little creepy crawly thing, but what the heck is bugging you? So this is what makes things different. People jump straight to solutions, but systems don't start with solution. They start with what's irritating you. What is bugging you? Something feels annoying, something feels heavy, something feels harder than it should. And that's a moment a system is trying to be born, per se. If something keeps stopping you, it's not a failure, that's feedback. And so, how can we look at that bug list? So, I want to challenge all of you guys to create a bug list. And there's actually a link in the show notes that you can click on to get a worksheet on creating your bug list. And, if you're in Virginia and it's cold and gets dark early, this is a great time of the year to work on some of those things. And so, how I want you to think about a bug list, it's not your to-do list. It's not your goal list. It's your thinking tool. I want you to literally walk through your life and notice what the heck is bugging you. And not the big dramatic problems, the small negative annoyances, things you keep forgetting, tasks you keep avoiding, decisions that drain you, moments where you sigh and say, oh, this is just too much. And so this is where you can walk around, like literally, I'd start walking around your house and spend a few days with this and think about what are the things that you forget? Like, do your keys go the same place when you walk in the door? Mine should, but sometimes they don't. And then I'm searching for my keys. Um, do your shoes stay in the same place? Are you putting things away so you can find them again? I have a bad habit. I really try not to do this. At the end of the day, at night, if I'm sitting on the couch watching TV, it's like I want my jewelry off. And I learned a long time ago that get up and put it away, or when I am done with the day, take it off and put it where it belongs, because otherwise I am going to lose it and then you can't find it. So, like, what are the things in your kitchen that are bugging you? What are the things in your living room? What can make your life easier? And sometimes you want to make some things harder, so you don't do it. Like my cell phone, I plug in not next to my bed because I will look at it way too many times and before I go to bed. So think about like, and then what I did this years ago is open notes in your phone or grab a legal pad and write down the things that need to be fixed and done or purchased in your home. Like the other day, I needed a couple things and I just started a list of things, they're not a have to today, but they're a want to sometime. And like when you're out shopping, you're like, oh, I needed this. I was looking the other day for a new hand towel. And so it was on that list. So go through and literally write down what is bugging you. Start with your house, go to your car, look at your calendar. And then as you go through your day, what are those things that are bugging you? Yesterday, I was sending out a group text to a bunch of people, and I realized I always go through every time and I remove people that aren't in the area anymore, and I don't want to send it to them. There's a couple people that they're in there twice because they put their phone number in wrong. And so I literally spent an extra 5 minutes when I was done cleaning up that list. And now I don't have to spend the extra 5, 10 minutes every time, and it got done. So ask yourself, again, when you're creating this bug list, where do I keep stopping? What do I keep starting over? What do I procrastinate? Though I care. And it's not about judgment, it's about patterns. Like, look at the things that are slowing you down, that you're procrastinating. They're just literally bugging you. And write it all down without fixing it. And this part really makes a difference. No fixing, no solving, no overthinking, just noticing. This is where the bug list really becomes powerful because once friction is visible, it loses power. So, um, a couple instances where systems have helped me is, and again, a why not day moment. I was sitting at a Mary Kay event and they were talking about tracking. You guys, attract number grows. I know that I know that I know that. And so I had a goal to track putting Mary Kay on 30 faces every day, or every day, I wish, every month. And so as I was sitting there, I remembered, you know what? I have a huge whiteboard that is literally sitting behind a cabinet in my house. So I remember coming home, probably hadn't even unpacked my bags, and I got it out. And this whiteboard, which is pretty big, is literally sitting between my bathroom and my bedroom. So I walk past it often. And I started tracking the faces. Well, now I'm tracking podcast episodes. And the other day I was coming up with ideas to share. And I just start writing them on the whiteboard. If they're in a notebook, if they're in the computer, if they're in the phone, I don't see them. And so I have whiteboards all over my house. An idea I had the other day, which I'm going to put into place today or tomorrow, is one of my goals for 2026 is to start traveling. I know I travel a lot, but being more intentional with traveling and doing some fun things. So I ordered a whiteboard. It's not huge, but I'm going to hang it in my bathroom to start writing down the places I want to go and start visualizing and manifesting those things. My kitchen, I literally took a weekend and organized it. And I went in, I got cute containers and fun stickers, and I took everything out of my kitchen and put it on the dining room table and got rid of all the expired stuff, all the stuff I didn't like, I didn't eat, unhealthy stuff. And then I put everything in containers and labels. I literally watched a movie one night and got the spice jars and put all my spices in little jars with matching labels, and they all match. And so my kitchen, I did this 2.5 years ago, and it is still the same way. If you've ever followed Marie Kondo, I think that's her name, she talks about a way to organize your clothes and to get rid of things, which I think that might be my project this weekend. And one thing I did is she's got a special method for folding your clothes and putting in the drawers of your house. And so I did that. Literally, it was a snowstorm weekend years ago, and it's still the same way. We all have systems for things. And I have asked this question on social media many times. Like, when you put your shoes on, do you do sock, sock, or sock, shoe, sock, shoe? Like, I do sock, sock, shoe, shoe. Now we have a little game that we play with the dog as I'm putting my tennis shoes on to go for a walk, which, by the way, is a system I don't miss any day. Walking around the lake, not just taking her for a quick walk. But now her system is she brings me a toy to play with, which was kind of hard to put your shoes on. So point is that we all have systems. We just don't always build them intentionally. Some are bad. So before I go on to some research, I just wanted to share a little bit about Why Not Today. And if you're listening, it's a podcast. And I call it the Why Not Today movement because I want to inspire all of us to live our life, to be brave and pursue our dreams. And so I do a weekly podcast. Each week you'll hear from me, which I mentioned in the beginning, or a special guest. And these, I want to go beyond inspiration to teach you what really works. Whether you're launching something new, navigating a pivot, I hope each step will leave you a clear next step reminder that you're not alone. So if you're enjoying this, share with a friend, subscribe, tell somebody else about it. I also do local, if you're in the Northern Virginia areas, a local lunch and some other events. I'm going to start some fun co-working at a brewery. And then really where my sweet spot is these days, I do, and Why Not Today Inner Circle. And you don't have to be local for that. And it is a lateral coaching program, mastermind, for women business owners. So if you want more information about that, please let me know. All right, so back to the podcast. BF or BJ Fogg, who's I've read many times, and he talks about habit stacking. He teaches that behavior change works best when things are made easier, not harder. When something feels hard, you lower the friction, you increase support, you change the environment. And that's what your bug list does. So, working out sometimes slows people down, because where are their shoes, where are their socks, where are they going? But if you have these things in place, I've even heard of people that sleep in their workout clothes so they get up and they don't even have to think about it. So really, why not today is about taking action. It's not about pushing harder. It's about removing what's stopping you from starting. Sometimes courage looks like action. Sometimes courage looks like just noticing that awareness. When you notice friction and build support around, starting becomes possible. That's when why not today stops being a question and becomes a choice. And so here's my invitation to all of you listening. One, create a bug list. Choose one bug, not the biggest one, the one that, if it's easier, would help you start. Ask yourself what small support can make it this easier. And that's it. You don't need to overhaul your life. You don't need to be more disciplined. You just need to support yourself better. And as I always say, why not today? And so, as I mentioned at the beginning, in the show notes, there's something to click on to get the bug worksheet that I put together. And I always try to give tools with a lot of my podcast episodes because I don't want you to just listen. I mean, there's so much information you can get, but I want you to take action. Like, why not today? You don't have to figure this out alone. So I'm here to help you. Thanks again for joining me on the Why Not Today podcast, which is your space for practical tools, real encouragement, and courageous growth. So if you're ready to take the next step, book a coaching session with me. Explore my workshops and resources at whynotTodayMovement.com. And this podcast is your bridge from inspiration to action, and I'm here with you to walk with you every step of the way. And remember, you don't have to have it all figured out. Just have to take one brave step. And why not today? And I love to hear from listeners. Let me know, or if you watch this, what was one thing that you took away from this? What's one thing you're implementing? And let's all make 2026 an amazing year. All right. Why not today? Bye.